You weren't invited?
Terrible, right?
Put you in the guest list for next year.
The discussion today, ladies and gentlemen, Shabbat was good. You had a good Shabbat on? Had a good time? That is awesome, awesome.
We missed you.
Maybe we didn't stop talking about you.
Oh. The discussion today on our new attached to the wall whiteboard is going to be character traits.
Yay.
Oh.
Let's talk real business over here. Character traits. Now, how do we say character traits in Hebrew? Don. Derech Eretz is a good expression. Literally means the way of the land. Midot. Don, nachon?
Yes.
You're very quiet. You're making me nervous. I don't like it being quiet. Are you hungover on Shabbat still? Don't jinx it. I said nothing.
Getting warmed up.
He's just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
It is midot in the plural, in the singular. Mida is absolutely correct. Mida. That is the discussion today. We're going to look at those words and we're going to go through a number of character traits, some of them good and some of them bad. We have to understand, by the way, why it would be that some traits are good, some are bad. Aren't all traits good, aren't all traits bad? How can they have good and bad? That we're going to discuss today as well. First of all, the word itself. What does the word midah or midot actually literally mean? What does it literally mean?
Deeds?
That's masim. Anybody? It literally means a measure or a measurement.
Okay? Midot is measure?
Yeah. Right? What is the midah of this object? A person's height. What is the midah? Okay? What is the height of this Jewish guy? Right? Average person 6'2", Jewish person 5'6". You know, what is the midah of this individual? So the word for
expression, measure for measure. It's
midah keneged midah. Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to come to that later on. Yeah.
Now to measure anything on the Shabbat, even your waistline.
You cannot measure on Shabbat. That is also very, very true. Okay? But this may mean measurement. But that's not the discussion. The discussion is why is the word for character traits the same Hebrew word for a measurement. This chair has a measurement, a table has a measurement. Why exactly is it that we have the same word for a measurement and a person's character traits?
Because you measure the person's character.
Number one, you measure the person by their character. That's how we measure a person. Again, we don't measure people by their height or by their waist. Right? That's none of anyone else's business. How you measure a person is how they relate to other people. Okay? I've had the misfortune of having to attend many funerals, and although I work with a young age group, I have to perform a few funerals as well, sadly, usually grandparents or parents of students. However, I've never been to a funeral where the rabbi stands there and says, "Oh, Jimmy Cohen." There's no Jimmy Cohen here today, is that good enough? What a lovely guy. Oh, can I just say, he drove the best cars. He had the most beautiful BMW, and he had a Mercedes as well, and he had a house in the Hamptons, and he had one in Miami, and you should have seen his house in Brooklyn. One of those corner lots where they knock down 3 houses and knock up 1 big house. That's okay. Right? It was so beautiful. Wow, he's gone. We miss him so much. Do we ever hear stuff like that?
Yeah.
Why not? Why do we never hear stuff like that? Thanks, Russ.
You don't measure a person by what he
Because
has.
we don't measure a person by what they have. And at a funeral, they never mention those kind of things. What do they say at funerals? If you've had the misfortune of being to a funeral, what do they talk about?
Good character.
The kind of life they live.
The kind of life they live. What else do they talk about? Hi, shalom, shalom. They talk about their family. They talk about their deeds, their friends. They don't talk about what they have. They talk about what they gave away.
But I've heard that you're not allowed to do that when you're doing it with a person. Say good things, because what you're saying is that other people might know the person and they know that he's not like that.
Let me be very clear. Let me be very clear with you. You should. We're going to talk about Lashon Hara next week. Actually, funny you said that. We are not going to accept that. You should definitely talk about all the virtues of a wonderful person. If you know someone does not like somebody else, we'll see next week, God willing, and that person let's say you have an argument with Russ, which you would never do because he's the sweetest guy in the world, right? But you two have an argument, okay? Because he's wearing a Celtic United fan for some reason, it's our shirt today, and you're a Liverpool supporter because you're wearing red, okay? You know what I'm saying? The Celtic, Liverpool, yeah, whatever. Okay? And you don't like him. I got to say, oh, such a nice guy. Oh man, not so nice. If I know you're an enemy with someone else, then I cannot do it. Because I know that he's going to say bad things about you.
Yeah, but there's so many people that like the person, they just come because of respect, because for the family.
And everyone should hear what a fantastic person this is. And you know what? To hear the truth, we stretch the truth a little bit.
Right, that's what I'm
we stretch a little bit. That's okay.
That's why I heard you're not allowed to say it. I always say, like some rabbis, they said that you shouldn't be saying all these good things about
You should say good. No, you should. Listen, should you over? You should say good things.
If anything bad to say at a funeral, you don't.
No, bad, right? You don't say it, obviously.
But you don't. They say in front of a person, you shouldn't give all compliments. Behind the backs, you can say more. But maybe people have this misconception. If you know someone's a good person, you should say it. It's lashon tov, the opposite of lashon hara.
Okay.
Right?
Rabbi yesterday disagreed with you. He said yesterday that you shouldn't do that because then now they have to be held to a high standard.
If you stretch it too much.
If you should lie about it, I don't want to.
Oh, you're saying when they're dead? I'm sorry.
No, when they're alive. When they're alive.
Yeah.
No, we're
You
talking
can
about
say
when
it.
they die. That's what
You can say it. I'm talking about someone who's dead, but someone who's alive, you should definitely.
Right, that's
should you
different.
exaggerate or say in front of their enemies that you cannot do? But say good things about a person. Such a nice guy, so sweet, and making people live up to a higher standard. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. Yeah.
Yeah, but not to the extent that some parents talk about their kids, right?
They stretch
Parents
it.
has become insane. It's got to a point now where everyone's child is a genius. Everyone's child is an absolute genius, no matter what they are. They can be as thick as a piece of wood. My kid is the best piano player, the best in math. I don't know when this happened. The best in English. You know, by the way, one of the greatest gifts we, the British, brought to America.
You're British? Oh wow.
An English accent, I'm British. It's not a New Jersey accent. One of the greatest gifts we, the British, brought to these isles is a guy called Simon Cowell. That, I'll tell you something. I'm just, hear me out for a second. Hear me out for a second. I know people hate him, they love him. He gets up there, and you have this kid who's been told their entire lives, oh, you're so clever. You're the most beautiful. You've got such a great voice. And he gets up there and like,
You suck.
you stink. Absolutely stink. And you know what? He's doing them a favor. We'll say, oh, you're so mean. He's not mean.
I agree.
He's actually helping them because their entire life, and they can sing like garbage. And people need to know. I'll tell you something. I'm a good rabbi. I'm not a good chazan. If I go up to sing in the synagogue, do me a favor. Tell me to sit down. But you've ruined my dreams. My mother told me I was the best singer ever. But I'm not.
But people don't want
That's
to be true.
okay.
That's the problem.
It's a reality check.
The problem
And if they're willing to go up on stage in front of millions of people, they've got to hear it.
But also depends who judges you.
Okay. Okay. Listen, I'm not suggesting you do it, and we'll see when we discuss Lashon Hara. But not every job out there is for a good Jewish boy or a girl.
Yeah,
Right?
but
I wouldn't suggest someone takes such a job, or I wouldn't suggest someone makes that into their livelihood, be a restaurant critic or a movie critic or a wine critic. It's not so simple. You can get involved in negative speech. We'll discuss Lashon Hara in a couple of weeks, Mr. Hashem, and we'll talk about that.
He committed adultery, though. I'm not trying to speak negatively about it.
Listen,
Cool guy,
I don't know the guy. I'm just saying what he did in terms of giving people a reality check. I'm not pro-adultery. I just like to throw that out there before the rumors get out there. The rabbi is pro-adultery. Okay, so measurements. A number one, by the way, just an interesting side point, talking about funerals, what we say. Rothschild, one of the early Rothschild, very, very wealthy man, was interviewed by the British Times, the London Times. And they approached him and they said to them, a journalist asked him and said, tell me, what are you worth? You know? He says, what am I worth? A bit of a chutzpah, but no, nowadays, that's the first thing they ask, right? What am I worth? He says, I'm worth £5 million. 5 million? You're not worth £5 million. Guy's worth hundreds of millions of pounds. He said, you asked me what I'm worth. You didn't ask me how much money I have. I am worth the money I gave away last year in tzedakah, in charity. Last year I gave away £5 million. That's my worth. My worth is what I give away, and that's how I measure myself. Not by what I have, but what I give. Okay. Interesting enough, that's not the discussion today. The discussion today is not going to be measurements based upon how you measure a person, although it's going to obviously be related. But I want to give another connection, so very carefully, between measurement and character traits. Measurement and character
The
traits.
Rothschild really said that?
And it goes like this. It goes like this. Let's say, I'll give myself an example. I have a daughter. Right now she's 15. My oldest daughter's 15. But when she was a young kid, she would come in, for example, like any child, with dirty shoes, dirt on their boots, mud. And she walks in the front door, and I'd be like, Haley, take your shoes off. Okay? She's like, okay. I come back 10 minutes later, little muddy footprints throughout the house. I'm like, what's this? What's wrong? I said, take your shoes off. What do they all kids say immediately? It wasn't me. She's the only child in the house, and the footprints are that big. But we'll leave that aside. Kids can deny anything. Actually, we adults can do the same as well. We also got to very well denying things that we know we are fully culpable for. I'm like, Haley, I say take your shoes off. That's it, you're in big trouble. I'm going to give you a punishment. We are not sending you to medical school. Now, she's 5 years old. She's like, huh? I said, me and Mommy, we were planning on it. We had a lot saved up. We're not sending you to medical school, and so we're taking that money and we're going on vacation. Bye. What's wrong with that scenario?
There's nothing wrong with that scenario. Don't send her to medical school.
No, it's not. That's like, don't, you're doing a favour.
Don't do it.
Don't send her to medical school. Okay, fine. Dental school, nurse school, I don't care, whatever. I'm a cop. I was just like, that's the right thing to do. Why is that a ridiculous thing to say to a 5-year-old?
Because that's not a punishment to her.
That's not a punishment for a 5-year-old. Right? She doesn't appreciate, doesn't understand that. What's a better punishment for a 5-year-old?
I'm taking away
Take away your candy, no dessert, go to bed early. You know? Listen, for us adults, go to bed early is like a great reward. But for a 5-year-old, I'm like, just go to bed. You can go to bed all day. Why are you in bed sleeping? What do you don't want to nap? Napping's the best thing. I can't nap anymore. Napping's what I live for, you know? Why is it a ridiculous thing? Because it doesn't match the crime. The punishment doesn't match the crime. Listen very carefully. What happened? I lose it with my daughter. You lose it with the kids. You get angry. You lose your temper. What happens? The measurement of how you respond is going to define your character. I'll say that again. How you respond to scenarios you find yourself in, the frustrating, annoying, irritating scenarios at work, with friends, with family, all the things that are to annoy you, how you respond to them, actually how you measure your response is going to define who you are as a character. That's the second interpretation of midah, measurement, being related to character traits. Our character is built by how we measure our response. And we're going to see that all of Judaism, ultimately, everything that we do, eating matzah on Passover, giving charity, putting on tefillin, keeping Shabbat, bringing sacrifices in the temple, name any one of the 630 mitzvot, the Rambam tells us, Maimonides says, that all of these mitzvot come from the ultimate being, God, in order to make us into nicer, better people. If someone says to you, what's the point of being Jewish? What is it all about? You say, well, it's about Israel, it's about this, about that. The answer is, all the mitzvah, whether we understand the connection or not, sometimes we can. Give charity, makes sense. Help your grandmother, honor your parents, makes sense. But that's not true. It's all mitzvah. Ultimately, says the Rambam, Maimonides, and Hilchos Tamura, are there to make us into nicer, better people. If you don't go through Jewish learning, one second, through Jewish learning and become a better person, controlling yourself, or at least regretting the mistakes that you make when it comes to interaction with other people, you miss the whole point of being Jewish. Yes?
I have a question. Why is that some of the rabbis say you should date or marry someone that has chesed, like kindness? Why specifically that kind of trait?
We're going to come to that. Beautiful. Beautiful. We're going to come to that. Thank you. They do say that.
Yeah, but
That is now you said when it comes to marriage, you should find someone who you're attracted to and someone you like. All the rest of that's a given.
Yeah,
But when it comes to chesed, that one trait, that's the one thing you're looking for, because ultimately, all of marriage, and really this topic is related to that topic, is chesed, isn't it? No one's paying you to take out the garbage. No one's paying you to do the dishes. No one's paying you to take the kids to school. It's all chesed. If you can't show some chesed as a single person, it ain't gonna work when you're married either. Yeah.
Where do you think character traits come from?
What do you mean, where do they come from?
Meaning that they come from, I mean, like when you're born, right? You're
Oh,
raised.
very, very good. Excellent.
So,
Great question. Okay.
do you develop them?
I wasn't going to talk about that, but I'll mention it right now. Some people, we in Judaism don't believe that everyone is born the same.
Right.
Okay? The Gemara tells us something fascinating. That different people are born with different character traits. What we call nature. Now, they have the ability to work on those traits or not to work on them. Right? And that's called nurture. You can have a person who is extremely kind and giving, born with a very nice, and I've seen it with their own children. All my kids are different. I'm telling you, it's going to sound weird to you. As soon as they come out, you can see the character traits. As soon as they're born, you can see the character traits. Right? One of them's screaming, and she carries on screaming for 15 years. One comes out quiet, she's quiet for 13 years. Every child is different. But I used to thought, all babies are the same. All little squishy things that look like E.T. I have no idea. Not at all. Not at all. All children come out differently. Having said that, just because they have a nature towards something doesn't mean they're going to end up that way. I'll give you a very clear proof to this from the physical world. From the physical world.
Was that Aesop like that?
Hold on. Let's say you have a person who genetically is going to be 6 feet tall. Ota, the doctor. Genetically 6 feet tall. Are they guaranteed to be 6 feet tall if genetically they're going to have 6 feet tall in their genes?
Not likely.
No.
It's possible, but it's not obvious. There's other factors. They could be malnourished, right? They could be in a terrible environment, and what should be 6 feet ends up being 5'3". It could be. Some things you can't change. Eye color, they're trying to do that as well. Some genetics, dispositions are a given. But a lot of them are not. A lot of them, when it comes to character traits, a person could be born with a certain character trait, and yet they can work on it and become a better person. That's really our discussion today, that nothing is set, everything is changeable.
So that's the question. Do you believe that it's better to develop new character traits or to perfect your good character traits?
Everyone is given exactly what they need to become a great person. Some people are more careful when it comes to money. I won't say Persians, but there are some people, I can make the joke because I'm Persian, right? Are more careful when it comes to spending money. I'll give you a very quick example of this. King David had someone who worked for him, right? And he was a thief. Loved the money. I think we spoke about it last class, in the leadership class, right? He said to him, you know what? Go take out my treasury. Channel that desire. Channel that passion and do it for the good. So actually, this is the answer, but listen very carefully. There's no such thing as a bad character trait. If God gave you that trait, it must be good. It just depends how you channel it. Every kid has different character traits. How do you channel it? Because there's always a positive way to channel every character trait. There was a great question, 1 second, it's in my head. Asked a great Hasidic rabbi, and they said, it can't be. How about not believing in God? There's nothing positive on that. Well, that's not really a character trait, fine, but you get it. Right? How can that be good? Not believing in God. He says, I'll tell you, there's even a positive application there. When your friend's in trouble, don't believe in God. Say, I'm going to help them. When you're in trouble, say, I have faith in God. But your friends, oh, you know what? God will take care of them. No! Then even that trait of denying God has a positive application. I'm going to try my best. Help them out. Oh, don't worry, God will take care of them. Doesn't work that way. So every trait, it's an interesting example. But every trait always has a positive application. There are no, I mean, this is a very unusual idea. That means there's no such thing as a bad person. They're just not channeling the gifts they were given correctly, and they can mischannel them into a very, very bad way.
I still don't get why it's hassle for marriage and not divorce or some other.
The rabbis speak very strongly against that. Very strongly. When it comes to marriage, the trait, you can bring fear into your house. But they say, if that becomes your predominant disposition in a marriage, it's not going to work. They say when you come to the house, be calm and relaxed. And chesed is what builds up the Jewish family. Chesed, Gibana, that's what the whole world is built upon. God built it with that. God builds His world. We build our family, our world with that trait as well.
But then don't you become a doormat?
Oh, no one's very, very good. No one's saying be a shmata. There's no mitzvah to be a doormat, to be a shmata. You still have to uphold your principles, do the right thing. But the general trait that you work, and everyone works on it, becomes chesed. But you're right. If you're going to become a nothing, put your foot down, that's not acceptable. There's rules, but the predominant one is one of chesed, of one of doing kindness. Yeah?
What's that mean?
Chesed, thank you for asking. Because if you ask it, the more people don't know what it means either. Chesed is the trait of doing acts of kindness. Chasadim, right? Doing chesed for other people. Okay?
Is it the same as word Hasidic? Is that coming from the same thing?
It's related. But Chassid actually goes back. Chassidim actually isn't referred to the people who walk around, Williamsburg and that word goes back to Talmud times. People who had tremendous love for Baruch Hu. It goes back much earlier to Talmud times, right? Chassidim Rishonim. Right. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at some character traits and go through them. Some positive, some negative. See the negative application and then the positive one. Are we together?
Yeah.
Yes, Rabbi?
Yes.
Any questions before we move on? You know what we're doing now? Yes.
Just to also mention,
Please.
they said that when you're dating someone, you should like select like a mate or something based on a character trait instead of like who their family is or. I think
Listen, you've opened up a very big box over here. No, it's very, very good. I can't do enough. If you want, I'll do a whole class on dating and marriage. That's my major topic, which I'm happy to do, which is related to this. Actually, my next book coming out, please God, in June, Miss Hashem, is Will You Marry Me, as I told you, in relation to dating. It is related. Your family is related. However, the person is more important than the family.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
We know that from Rivka, who came from a terrible family, yet and still chosen to marry Isaac, Yitzchak. Okay, so we don't solely base a person upon their family. People can break away from any negative traits they are brought up with. Don, what's your favorite donut? Could you open one of the windows, please? Do you mind?
Oh no, it's cold.
It's cold. You're cold?
We're cold.
Oh, okay. Cold. This is the famous area of dispute in every synagogue. Window open, window closed. Okay. Are we ready to start? So we're going to look at a few individual specific character traits. And these ideas are brought down in a book called Orchat Tzadikim, The Way of the Righteous. And you'll see, actually, in this book, which is in English as well, he goes through a bunch of character traits, looking at the positive and then the negative, the opposite. Because every positive must have a negative. Every negative, like the yin-yang symbol, in that symbol, there's dark, it's got to be a little bit of white. And if there's white, it's always a little bit of dark. There is no perfection in this world among humans, and there's nothing that's complete. There's always some good you can learn out from something, right? That symbol happens to come from the Eastern world. I believe that comes from Judaism as a concept, for sure. For sure. Okay.
They're entwined though, also.
They are entwined. They are right. They mirror each other in a certain way as well.
That's the book I recommend to everyone.
Let us begin with our character traits. The first trait I want to mention is the one that all of us have to deal with all the time. What's the one trait that's so bad?
Laziness.
Laziness is a good one.
Anger?
I wasn't going to that. Anger is what I was thinking of. But laziness is also a big one. How do we say anger in Hebrew?
Right.
Okay, Ronan.
I call it Atzabim.
Atzabim. Kas. Anger. Anger is a big one. The Gemara, the Mishnah, in Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, says something fascinating. It says you can divide the entire world into 4 groups. Forget Chinese, Russians, French, Christians, Buddhists, whatever. Forget that. We're going to divide the entire world into 4 groups. And the groups are like this. Some people who get angry quickly, but calm down slowly.
That's a good point.
Angry quickly, calm down slowly. Some people get angry slowly, but calm down quickly. Some people get angry quickly, but calm down quickly. Yeah? And some people get angry slowly, but calm down slowly. Which of these 4 is the absolute best?
Anger quickly, calm down quickly.
Yeah.
Anger slowly, calm down, quickly. That's the best. Pirkei Avot called such a person, I believe, I remember, a chassid, a truly righteous person. What's the worst of the four? The first one, right? Rasha, quick to anger, slow to calm down. Somebody asking you a question. Well, suddenly you're all quiet. Suddenly you're all quiet.
Question about what?
About what is wrong on the board.
Which kind of person holds grudges?
We're going to come to bury a grudge in a few moments. Hold on to that. Hold that question right there. We're going to come to that in 2 minutes. Very
The
good.
question is, why is anger still a good character trait?
That's also a good question. But on this list.
Question about the list? What about number 4?
Okay. Slow to anger, calm down quickly. Okay.
Calm down.
Calm down slowly.
How do we change it?
What's the big question?
How do we channel
Where's number 5?
You said
You said 4 groups.
Why didn't they just add a 5th one?
it? Don't get angry.
Don't get angry.
impossible.
It's impossible. That's the answer. The answer is that everyone is going to have to deal with this trait. Some people are born radzanim, they're always angry, always losing it. Some people are calm, and you got to push, push, push. You can decide which group you get into, but you can't choose number 5. Someone give me an example from the Bible, from the Torah, of someone who lost their temper and because of that had to suffer major repercussions. Moshe Rabbeinu. What happened with Moshe Rabbeinu? He hit the rock. The Sela, he hit the rock in order to bring out the water. Now listen to me. I've studied the Torah. I'm sure you have as well at this point. Is there a law? And what's your name again? Esther. Esther, is there a law in the Torah? Thou shalt not hit rocks. Sound familiar? Doesn't sound familiar. If you want to go outside right now, Esther, and beat the heck out of a rock, go right ahead. Knock yourself out. Enjoy, my darling.
Then you break your feet.
Question. How is he supposed to split the sea if he didn't put his...
That's a different time. Splitting the sea, put his staff out over, that's a different occasion. This is later on, when they were short of water. Miriam died. They didn't have water, because in her member water came, different event. And he was told to talk to the rock, and instead he hit the rock, and because of that, he wasn't allowed into the land of Eretz Yisrael. Not only, and by the way, that was his whole life mission. All he wanted to do was to get into Eretz Yisrael. There was nothing more painful. And for doing something which isn't forbidden in the Torah, he was... And there's a lot of commentary exactly what he did wrong. The Rambam says he lost his temper. What did he lost his temper? He missed out his life mission? That's like, I don't know, someone into a car accident and saying, you smashed up my car, that's it. You're not going to, I can't let you live anymore. It's ridiculous. It doesn't fit. And the answer is because he was in a position of leadership, in a position of power. And we want people in positions of power to be calm, not perfect. No one is perfect. We want them to be calm. No matter what you think of the President of the United States, this one, any other of them. I don't want to talk politics. But one thing I want my president is a person who's calm. Because he's got his finger on the nuclear button. And the person with his finger on the nuclear football button, he can't be on TV. That's it! I'm going to kill him! He's got to be calm. Don't talk about it. Calm and collected. Passionate. Passionate's okay. You should be passionate. Let's make a distinction. He shouldn't be like, "Buh." The Rambam says, listen very carefully, that Moshe Rabbeinu was in a position of leadership and he lost his temper once. He missed out his mission in life.
But it was only
Now,
times he was with the tablets when he came down.
that he was complimented for. That was a good time, and he was praised for doing that. This occasion, he said this was in front of all the people. What do the people think? If Moshe's angry with us, God's angry with us. Think about the president. If the president gets angry, what do we think? It reflects not just on the president, it reflects on the presidency. And on the nation, yeah. So we want us to be very calm. Now, when anyone else, I lose my temper, okay, whatever. Okay, it's not so good. Because if I lose my temper with you right now, what's going to happen? You think, that's what all rabbis are like, that's what Judaism's like, and you end up judging the rest of the Jewish people that way. A tremendous chilul Hashem, desecration of God's name. How you act in front of Jewish and non-Jewish people is going to define how each one of you here, I know for a fact, not only had personal dealings, but has spoken to people like, oh, you're Jewish? How come you Jews, You've all had that, right? You've all had that, yeah? How come I see Jews doing this, and doing business like that, and parking like this? You've all experienced that, haven't you? Yes? Yeah. And what do you say? Well, I'll tell you what I say. Don't judge Judaism by the Jews. And it's true. But you know what? People are still going to do it. So when you lose your temper, or you cut someone in traffic, which in Brooklyn they're into, by the way, exactly, you know? And I'm as guilty as anyone else. I'm always late, I'm always running around. When you act in a certain way, people are looking like, oh, that's what Jews are like. Okay? Anger is the key trait. This is the Rambam. Every trait has a positive application, anger, and one other trait, which I'll leave you to think about for a moment. Very little good that comes out of it. Very little good comes out of it. Anger is so negative. What comes out of it is the only time to show anger, and they say, by the way, your inside should be calm. Outside you show it is when you're dealing with children, for example, they do something that's going to endanger their life. If your 3-year-old runs into the street, although you told don't run to the street, right? You're not like, oh, don't do that. You're going to get squishy by truck. Make road pizza. Naughty. No. What do you say? No. Naughty boy, naughty girl. Don't do that again. Pachi tushy, right? Whatever it is. Outside. Inside, you're going to be calm.
What if you're angry at yourself for, say, not accomplishing something?
Also, so once says the Rambam like this. The Rambam talks a lot about this in Hilchot Deil, the laws of conduct in the Mishnah Torah, available in the English. Hilchot Deil. And he says something fascinating. He says, we Jews are not extremists. Weird, right? We're not extremists. We don't go to the ultimate extremes of what we're dealing with in life. You shouldn't be too stingy, but you shouldn't give away all your money. You shouldn't be angry all the time, but you shouldn't sit like a stone. Try to find what he says the golden mean, the middle path between everything, between the extremes. Not too happy, but not too sad. Always find the golden mean that comes in between. There's one zealot in the Torah, and that is Pinchas, and he was given a Brit Shalom. Take it easy. Take it as a zealot. I have to go do it. Take it easy. Relax.
There was a whole group of zealots.
In the Torah itself, later on, there were people who followed that thing. That's not us.
Kind of like the union, balancement.
You've got to find the balance in between. So I would say to you, anger is a bad thing, but the passion that builds in you, and you're going to make a point and stand up for something, then it's a good thing. I'll tell you one quick story. Before I do one last point. This is a dating-related point, so you'll like this one as well. It says, if you want to know a person's character, you should look at 3 things. What 3 things you look at if you want to know a person's character, which is good for dating? 1. Kiss, kos, kas. Kiss means pocket, how they spend the money. What a person spends their money on is going to reveal to you what they really like. 2, kos means a cup. Kos is a cup. What they're like when they're drunk. Nicholas ayayin, the wine goes in. Yotza, so the secrets all come out. Some people when they're drunk, they're like, woo, yeah! I'm just, everything's fantastic, I love. They're happy people, right? Some people, they drink and they get depressed, they get violent, they get angry. That's what they're really all about. Now, I don't recommend you spike someone's drink on a date in order to see what they're like. I always say the best way to do it is to date someone through Purim at least once a year. Then I'm drinking a little bit more, and they will be able to do it. So, kas, anger, is the 3rd one. And that is how you define a person, what they're like when they're angry. When a person's angry, they have control, you see the real person. And you think about it, if I'm dating someone, how am I gonna see what that they'll lose it.
Be late.
They'll lose it. Be late. What's going to happen? You get into traffic. I always tell people, see how they treat people? How they treat people lower down on the totem pole, like a parking lot. Go to the parking lot, like, hey, there's people, and they're like rude to the parking. Hey, where's my car? I was there 5 minutes ago. And then the person comes 5 minutes later, gives their ticket, and their car comes out first.
Everybody's me when they're angry.
Not acceptable.
That's
And,
actually,
hey, what about my car? I was here first, buddy.
That's a good predictor about it.
Yeah.
What?
In general. That's a very good predictor about it.
Absolutely. How a person treats people, they're only talking to them that way. They won't talk to me that way. Oh, don't you worry.
Eventually.
During your relationship, you will be lower than them on the totem pole. They'll look down upon you. It's a very good indicator. You know what's even better indicator? In a restaurant, how they treat the waitress or the waiter.
Or the busboy.
How they, or the bus boy, right? In hotels, right? Or receptionists. People look down. If they're respectful, because you know what? They're going to look down upon you. At some point, you're going to be the bus boy, and you're going to be the waiter, and you're going to be the waitress, and how they treat you is reflect how they treat those people as well. They say, Bob, I never saw it. You did see it. It was there all the time.
I have a question. Let's say you're on a date and you're like, the guy is like bargaining like during the date, like what do you do?
You know, I'm regretting not putting that in my book now. The bargaining data. Right? He's asking you in a bar and he's giving out coupons. He's like, you want a martini? You're like, you take kids' coupons or the thing?
But Rabbi,
Yeah.
I have a huge chutzpah.
I don't believe it. You are a chutzpah, I don't believe it.
I came to Shabbat with
Russ.
Ross, so I came earlier to the family. As soon as I entered, the first thing I said, what?
Just want to say hello, and we want to thank all of you for amazing Shabbat.
This is my good friend, Rabbi Benzi Klatsko.
How are you? Yeah, nice.
I've never seen me singing and dancing on screen. I don't know
One of the most amazing.
Shabbat.com?
Shabbat.com.
This is the man. He found
Shabbat.com?
Get on the run
Just
now.
invite you?
I'm sorry?
I think we just invited you.
They all look the same.
They.
All the Sephardi women, they all look the same.
So the ambassador program. What's unique about the ambassador program?
What is unique?
Us.
You. Especially you.
Who said that?
And Lev spoke so amazingly. Like, people really spoke. You know, the Shalosh Shudas, he spoke amazing about the
What are you
experience.
doing? What are you doing?
Are you videoing?
I'm videoing. You're
I thought I would have sucked it out.
Sorry.
You don't need to suck it in. You need to lose it. Anyway, let's. Good to see you, brother.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you, brother. Thank you. Thanks for bringing him in. Good to see you, Nancy. God bless you. Shabbat.com, people. Sign up. Chutzpah. You with Russ and.
So I came before us, and as soon as I entered the house, I entered like it's my house. I asked the guy to take my jacket, and then asked his wife to make it.
This is true. And I wasn't even there. And I
It's, no, I just came, and as soon as I entered, can you take my jacket? Took my jacket, then I came to his wife. I said, can you make me?
Personally,
But as a joke,
I like that. I like it. It shows character. Someone comes to my house. We'll talk about Chesed later on. I've saved it for the second hour. So I want to hold on to it. But you know what? It's Gefella. You're Israeli and Russian. That's a mean combination right there. Okay. Kiss, cuss, cuss. Kiss, cuss, cuss. Don't run his back, everyone. I thought he was dead over there, but I'll show him his back. I want to share with you a big story. This is the story. Do you listen to the story? I love the story. There was a guy who was going to go on a date. Okay? And this girl had learned, it's a seminary, they always learn this. The girls who go to yeshiva in Israel, they learn to say kiss, kos, kas. So here's the idea, how do you measure a person? By their money, by the drug or anything. So he picks her up for a date, this girl, first date. And she gets in the car and they start driving. This is the story. And they get to the traffic light, they get to the traffic light, and the traffic light is red. Now, in America, when a traffic light is red, we know how it works, yeah? No, so it's beep beep, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as it goes green, it's meh. In Israel we said they beep while it's red, okay? Meh, meh. Okay. So they get the traffic light and it's red. And the girl leans over, turns off the ignition, he's driving, pulls the key out and throws it out the window.
So she wants to get
And the girl, and he's sitting there, and obviously it goes green, when the Israelis start honking. He gets out of the car, wait a second, looking at finds the keys, gets back in the car, puts the key in the ignition, starts the engine, and drives off. And she's sitting there like this.
Shouldn't react. Technically, he didn't react.
I was like. So he turns around and says, "Excuse me, what was that about?" She said, "I was testing you." Testing what? I wanted to see if you want to get angry. And he said, "How did I do?" And she said, "You passed." And he said, "I was testing you, and you failed." And he turned the car around, dropped back home.
That was a good one.
I don't know if that actually happened, but if it didn't, it will one day. Yeah.
I heard a dating story similar to that where the guy picks up the girl at her house. She comes out and she's like, "Oh, thank God you have a nice car." She gets out, he took her around the block, dropped her off at home. She's like, "Why are we back here again?" She's like, "I don't like your attitude. Get out of my car."
Oh, yeah. Tough. That's kiss, that's cost.
What's the first one? Kiss. The pocket.
Kiss is
spending.
how you spend your money. What he spends his money on, what she spends his money on. If they're spending money on
That's
drugs, alcohol, any bad things, you know what I'm saying? You have to, that you see the
What if a
person.
person likes to spend, but he's doing it for a good cause?
Okay, one second. I'm not
If he
saying
wants to satisfy.
I'm not saying it's anyone's business. However, if it becomes apparent that this person is spending the money, what they're spending the money on is just showing you what their character is all about.
A lot of people can fake these character traits in the beginning.
You can. Eventually, if you do research and you see, you look for the right things, you date properly, you can see it. Eventually it breaks. Eventually it breaks. No one can maintain it. And I always see people who end up in divorce, Rahmanistan, and they always say to me, you know, I saw certain things, but I ignored it. I was head over heels in love.
Yeah, but how do you do it if you, let's say in Jewish, you married 3 months, 6 months? How do you do it?
Ironically, that's the better to do it. I'm going to do a type of dating. I'm going to do dating. I see you want to do dating? You want to do dating? No. You want to do dating?
I see it in the first week, but it's not that. It's just about
Another time. Okay.
Stop for a long time.
Let's do a connecting trait to this one, which is also mentioned in the Torah. Oh, by the way, in which Torah portion do we find a lot of character traits mentioned? Anyone know? Interesting. So the trait, the area in the Torah that we see most traits being mentioned is actually Parshat Kedoshim. And that is the Parsha of being holy. Being holy. Kadosh. Kadoshim. Kedoshim. That's in Leviticus. In Vayikra. You see that a lot of funny. Isn't being holy, worshipping God, and keeping Shabbat? And the truth is, yeah. But actually, if you look at Parshat Kedoshim, the chapter on being holy, being honest in business, not taking revenge, not bearing a grudge, and loving other people like you love yourself. That's where you find it. Let's talk about those two very quickly. Revenge and a grudge. These, by the way, these are not cute ideas. These are two, according to the Chavetz Chaim. Some say they are one, they are connected. Some say no, each one is its own one. Mitzvot in the Torah. They are their own mitzvot of the Torah. The Torah says keep Shabbat. Torah says don't eat non-kosher food. Torah says give charity. Torah says don't take revenge. It's not cute ideas that the Torah wants to give us. Hashem is telling us this is the foundation of Judaism. Let's figure out what these terms actually mean, because they are both negative traits, but they will have positive applications we're going to see. How do you take revenge? What is revenge?
Payback.
Being spiteful.
Payback. Someone does something to you, you do something back to them.
Eye for an eye.
Eye for an eye, yeah.
But it's still something bad.
Well, eye for an eye is
One
for
second,
justice.
1 second.
That's different.
That's right. But I'm saying, she's saying in the colloquial tense, eye for an eye. I got a Russ, I'm like, Russ, can you lend me your shirt? He's like, no, he doesn't have to, and he doesn't. Next day he comes up to me, and he says, Rabbi, can I borrow your jacket? And I'm like, you don't lend shirts, Russ? I don't lend jackets.
That's spiteful.
That's revenge. That is nekama. He doesn't do it for me. I don't do it for him. Normally, I would send it to him. That's revenge.
But what if you say you?
And by the way, there are millions of scenarios of this. You're going to have to learn out. But that's the example Rashi gives. Well, not that's the exact example. He gives the example of an axe.
Things for yourself, though.
You don't have to do it. I'm not obligated to lend Russ whatever he wants. What I cannot do is not give it to him because I'm taking
If
revenge.
you're doing it only to receive back, then you're only really doing things.
That may not be the worst thing. That will seem that may not be the worst thing. That still creates a functional society. But not doing it, take revenge is a problem. Otam.
We're talking about not doing something. What about when you actually take positive action in order to seek your revenge?
If your ultimate goal is to hurt that other person, then that's a problem. That's revenge. That's exactly what we're talking about. And it could be financial, it could be spiritual, it could be physical, it could be psychological. All these things are forbidden by the Torah. If that's revenge, what's grudge? My Rosh Hashiva used to tell me that taking revenge is bad. But the hardest thing in the entire Torah, harder than 100 Yom Kippurs, than keeping Shabbat for years, whatever you want to say in terms of challenge, giving tzedakah, nothing compared to bearing a grudge. This is the hardest thing. What is it?
See, I have a question. Like,
Hold on. I'm just focusing with the question. Just do this one. I want to finish off. What's grudge?
I think it's grudge. You're hurting two people, yourself and the other person. Because what you're doing is in a grudge, you're holding this grudge for a long time, so you're hurting your inner self.
Okay, that's the symptom of it. But what is it? It's very simple. Watch this. And this one, by the way, is what we do all day, whether we realize it or not. Let's go back to me and Russ. Russ, I love your shirt. Fantastic. Can I borrow your shirt? No, he doesn't have to. No problem. He comes up to me the next day, says, "Well, can I borrow your jacket?" Now, revenge was no. Grudge is, yeah, sure you can. I'm not like you. I lend things.
Oh. So it's like a...
Now, that's bearing a grudge. You have it. You're not going to know that I'm bearing a grudge because I gave it to you. Maybe I thought that. Maybe I said it to someone else. Russ doesn't lend things, but I do.
We do this all the time.
We do this all the time. Our whole life is made up of doing this, and the Torah stamps that and says that's not the way to be. Is revenge ever a good thing? There must be. There must be a positive application if the Torah has it. God wouldn't just give us bad traits and like, there's your bad trait, good luck. Bezon Benet. Right? God wouldn't say that to us.
The whole thing that happened in Egypt was a revenge from God.
God takes revenge. Because revenge is a good thing. If done properly.
Isn't it measure for measure?
It's right. It's exactly. That's what comes in. It's directing a balance. Listen very carefully. We're told a Torah scholar, right, is not a Torah scholar that doesn't take revenge for his people. God is Kel Nakamot Hashem. He's a God of vengeance. But we say revenge is bad. No, revenge is good. We just don't know how to do it. God knows exactly how to pay back the person, to fix them, and to repay their evil that they did. God can do that. We don't have that ability. We don't know how to do that. You do something to me, I come and smash you in the head. I took revenge. You curse me out, I smash your skull. It doesn't fit. It's here and here. We don't know how to do it. So we're told not to do it. But actually, it's a good thing. It's a sign of justice. And ultimately, that's a godly trait, but we cannot do it. So we're forbidden. Just like a child cannot use a scalpel. A child waving around an axe is not a good thing, or a scalpel. But a surgeon, he should. Right? That's his ability. That's what he should be doing. Yeah.
I have a question. I always had trouble with this. On Yom Kippur, we're supposed to go, before Yom Kippur, we're supposed to go to a person, to ask for forgiveness and this and that, and they're supposed to come to us if they did anything. How do you forgive someone that did something that maybe ruined your reputation or ruined something? Like, how do you forgive them?
It's a very, very, very big question. I'll give you, it's a very big question. I guess it's so big to talk an hour just on this one topic. So I'm going to give you a 2-second answer because people think he was avoiding the question. The answer is, if the person is able to do it, they're on a level of sidkus.
Very hard.
Very, very, very hard. But if they're able to do it, eventually it takes time. Not straight away. It could take weeks. It takes months. People take years. But if you're able to do it, overcome, right? Be tough to overcome your natural trait of hating this person they did. I can tell you some crazy stories. A friend of mine, his wife was, I would say, in a relationship with another man, and it was discovered, and it was a mistake, and this man, and he was terrible, and they broke it off, and went to the rabbi. And this man approached my friend asking for forgiveness. He said, I can't forgive you. I hate you for trying to break my family up. A year later, the man tried again, and he said, now I can. Imagine that? Erev Yom Kippur. Imagine that? You think some people never. I know family battles that are still being fought by the 4th and 5th generation. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking like, yes, in 1850, not 1950, 1850, they did to my great-great-grandfather, I can't forgive them. You know what I'm saying? It's like...
In what situation that you shouldn't forgive a person?
Should not forgive a person? It's very difficult to give. Very few. Very, very few. By the way, just because you're at peace with them doesn't mean Hashem will take punishment against them. Okay? Just as you forgive a person doesn't mean Hashem's not going to do it. In other words, you being at peace with what happened is different to Hashem punishing them and you trying to make sure they get to the authorities to get put in prison or whatever it is for what they did. Your job is not to forgive them in God's eyes. Your job is to forgive them in your eyes. It's different. You're not excusing their behavior.
It's also easy for yourself.
It's yourself, your own personal... You know, I must get, can I say one thing? Because we have a few more minutes. But I could talk about this, we could do it for 5 hours. You know, I always think, you know, when we discuss character traits, the most important thing... Why are you looking like that? What's wrong? Oh, this?
You didn't take the second chance.
This is an argument I had 5 years ago with my friend, and I never really, got rid of it. So I carry on with me, It's okay. I just walk around with it. Life's okay. I mean, get up in the morning, a bit difficult with a chair, and then I got to another fight with another friend, and we'll start hanging out once in a while, and we see each other here and there, and once in a while we get into a little bit of fights here and there. But you know what? Life carries.
Yeah, you'll eventually go to the ground. You're going to carry some more.
Put it down. Move on and put it down. You have that choice. You have that ability.
But if you meet a friend and you have issues with him, maybe sometimes it's better just stop doing it.
Oh, no, there's no mitzvah. There's no mitzvah to hang around with people who annoy you and drive you crazy.
Stop seeing.
You're not obligated.
Yeah,
you should.
Because if you're gonna see him, you will get.
Here God says, oil or Russia. But sometimes, Don, sometimes that person's in your life. That could be your workmate, person you work with, could be someone in your family, and you're stuck. That's when you have to really figure out how to deal with them.
One more question.
Yeah.
What do you think is stronger, arrogance or anger?
So, anger and arrogance are actually connected. Those two, said the Rambam, Ga'ava and Kas, anger and arrogance are connected. By the way, he says that all time people are angry come from arrogance.
But anger can
you talk
be
to me
good.
like that? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? He's in the parking lot. He's in the restaurant. Do you know if I am? You never talk to me that way. It's arrogance. All anger, actually, people who are humble, which is the opposite of arrogance, and how you defeat anger is by being humble. I'm a human person. This person's a jerk, and that's what it is. And I'm not so thorough. When you're full of yourself, you're arrogant. That builds up anger.
Anger is good. Anger can be very good.
So, we said, as an educational tool...
If somebody walks all over you, and you don't have that energy of anger, you just don't get
But do you take revenge? You bear a grudge?
No,
do you smash them?
You should get angry at things.
You should... It's not angry. As an educational tool, inside, you're calm. You show it on your face.
But anger pushes you to not necessarily should do bad things with it. But
Well, that's what most people do. Do you know how many people die from road rage every year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me how many people die from, like, here in Brooklyn, everyone's got a gun in their trunk. And everyone's got like a baseball bat ready to smack people. One way, sorry, I got so much to say on this. I've got a friend of mine, quick story. I was a kid, this was before cell phones. I was walking down the street, people would say to me, but you know what, anger is a natural trait. Right? I said, it's natural, it's just the way I am. I can't control myself. Let me tell you a following story. I was walking down the street one day and I saw two cars, like, they're like in front of each other, tailgating, cutting each other off, messing around. Eventually, the guy behind was like a small car, right, was driving, and the other car got in front of it and blocked it. The guy in the car in the front gets out, goes into his back seat, takes out a cricket bat. Let me translate a baseball bat. Right?
I've heard this.
Here I mentioned it? No. And he takes out the bat and he starts to swing it around. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to smash you. You just wait. I'm going to kill you. Out of the back car, nothing. Suddenly, all 4 doors open in the car behind. And out of the small car behind, gets out 4 of the biggest men I've seen in my entire life. Calm, relaxed. They walk up to this guy, and he goes from to opens the back door, puts the thing in, closes. The guys walk over. They give him a bit of this, you know. Hey, everything good over there? The wife thing, calm, you know. They clear off his suit a little bit, and they walk back to the car.
It's true.
And the car in front drives off, and the guy's behind. And I was thinking, whoa, where did the anger go? There he was screaming. Had it been a 16-year-old kid, he would have turned them into jello. What does he do? He's able to control them. If you want to, if the consequences of your anger are bad enough, you'll be willing to overcome it. You'll be willing to overcome that negative trait. That's your choice. You have a choice where you put yourself. You just have to realize that the consequences of your anger are bad enough that if you don't fix it, it's going to be trouble. Yeah.
So, since we mentioned arrogance, let's talk about sarcasm.
Oh dear,
Greatest
sarcasm.
defense
Sorry,
mechanism.
Hashem. Oh yeah, sarcasm. I'm British. That's all we do is sarcasm. My whole life is one big sarcastic joke. Yeah. What about
That's the
it?
greatest defense mechanism ever to deal with your life.
Passive aggressive humor. Passive aggressive. Yeah.
Well, I was going to mention that the consequences of displaying your anger in a situation like that are much more evident. You know, so the fear of letting your anger kind of go.
But you can generate that feeling exactly whenever you want. Now, it may be of that person, but it could be the fear of God, fear of hurting yourself, hurting that person. You're able to generate the fear in order to stop it. Yeah, a lot of questions on this topic.
I was reading an article 3 years ago about bullying.
Bullying.
Yeah, so it was written that in America and Western world, bullying is the biggest problem in the middle grades, like 7, 8, 9 grade.
Big problem.
Israel is
There's kids been killing suicide. And I think an 11-year-old kid committed suicide recently from bullying. 11 years old. The newspaper last week.
So Israel is the only country in the world that bullying is a thing. We take it as very sarcasm and something that is part of our culture. So
bullying children in school.
We're doing this all the time.
Rabbi, you want to talk about holding a grudge? Is that like related with envy? Because from what I heard, that envy is really bad.
You know what? I've got something in. I could stand for 3 hours. I want to know one last point before you go for your break.
No breaks.
And how does it relate to the...
I want you to answer a good question. You ask a question, I ask a question. One quick question over here. The question is envy, jealousy. I'll just give you one short idea on this. We can talk for an hour just on jealousy. The 10 Commandments. Shh. 10 Commandments, obviously we said, are 10 principles that all of the mitzvah come from. The 10th of the 10 Commandments is don't be jealous. Lo tachmod. It's the only character trait that makes it into the 10 Commandments. Now that's interesting in and of itself. The rabbis say something fascinating. They say that of all the character traits, jealousy is one of the worst ones because all other traits come from it as well. Why are you angry? Because I want that, I should be like this, right? I deserve to have that, I deserve to be treated that way. It's jealousy ultimately. If you want to fix most of the traits, humility is big, but ultimately, he says, if you're able to work on the trait of working on jealousy, what does jealousy mean? Jealousy means I don't accept what I have is meant to be mine because what they have should be mine. Tell it again. I don't accept that they should have that nice car, they should have that nice pocketbook, they should have that nice hair, or hair at all, that nice nose, right? That nice wife or husband or shoes or whatever, that nice job. What are you saying? You're saying I don't believe in God. Because the reason you have what you have, the parents you have, the family you have, the genetics you have, the nose you have, the hair you have or don't have, whatever it is from God. So ultimately, all traits that are negative are really stemming from the only one that made the 10 Commandments, and that's jealousy. Is there good jealousy, Otar?
Yes. I don't know. The way you asked the question makes
Yes, there's good jealousy.
Exactly.
I was gonna say,
that's a good assumption, right? Like you're a good student.
Yes.
There is good jealousy. What's good jealousy? Ota, what's good jealousy? You know the answer.
To aspire to achieve something else.
Absolutely. I don't want his stuff, but I want to work hard. Like it's called kinat sofrim. Jealous of people who are smart, work hard, right? You see a great doctor, I want to be like that. You see a great rabbi, person with good traits.
You see a nice house.
Yeah, I want to work hard. But are you jealous of it? Maybe that object is not meant to be yours. This is the principle of hashgacha pratit, that Hashem is in control of our lives. If you accept that I shouldn't be jealous, what you're actually accepting is that what I have is what I'm meant to have.
They say like jealousy is like worshipping other idols.
It's considered idol. So is anger, by the way.
Oh, really?
That's how it's discussed. Yes.
Okay. Side stories. So I think this is a great example of parenting from my mom.
Yeah.
Saying a lot.